Okay, guys. While we're waiting for the other video to upload, God's help us, I wanted to talk very briefly about how you get from here. Remember the pumpkin from last time? Very cartoonish, but it'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. How you can get from that to something like that, which is not anywhere near that. So don't ask me how to get to that quite yet, okay? I'm not there either. Something like burnishing, or the techniques we just covered in the pumpkin video, actually can cover a wide variety of cartoonish kind of coloring. It can get you there with fair ease. Yes, I messed up her hair right there. Don't say anything. I already know. I just didn't feel like going back. But it can get you to somewhere like there. The main differences are going to be in not only color scheme, obviously, but also in kind of where you focus, more of your intense color versus more of your diffuse color. Essentially, whenever you know that you have something where the majority of the color is going to be light like this, you may want to go with darker hair. If you know they're going to have kind of darker skin, you may want to take some time to take all of your darker colors. Like if you know they're going to be an African American person and they're going to have dark hair and they're going to have brown eyes, one thing you might want to do is try to go through all the browns in your repertoire and see what you can do about maybe choosing colors so that the eyes will stand out from the skin. But in that case, you're also going to be working a little bit more with highlighting, and that's going to be kind of your highlighting, your shading, and that's going to be kind of how you're going to make the differences there. But for cartooning, burnishing works just fine for most things that you would need. Obviously, cartoons and manga and anime have kind of simplistic, simplified, stylized coloring issues going on. Basically, to get from there to here, this is not quite cartoonish, but it's still not realistic, right? Basically, one of the first things you're going to want to do whenever you do a cartoon, you're looking at overall shapes, and you're kind of looking at it from a whole, or at least this is the way I do it. I don't know how you do it, but this is the way that I do it. You're looking at overall shapes more than you're looking at anything else. If you're looking at the eye, there are basically very few things you have to do there. You have to get a pupil, you have to get a highlight, you need something to go around the iris to kind of differentiate it from the whites, and then you get those lovely exaggerated manga eyelashes. This is why I love drawing manga, because it's exaggerated anyway, so you can't really mess it up that easily. Manga's kind of easy that way. If you're going in for hair on something like a cartoon, you'll notice it's actually very simple here. We only have maybe 3 or 4 colors, very light going to very dark. There's not really a whole lot you have to do there. Whereas if you wanted to do something like that being Big Daddy from Land of the Dead, have a zombie fixation, you guys will be able to tell that as we're going along. This is an excellent book, by the way, just for random things. If you're doing something like this, basically the biggest difference is going to be your attention to the level of detail and the amount of time you put into it. This over here, 30 minutes, tops. This over here, about 3 or 4 hours. I've done that about 4 or 5 years ago, so there are a lot of things that I would change now, yes. Something like this over here, if you wanted to get that photorealistic effect, go ahead and be aware. A lot of people will tell you that they take 80, 90 hours to do one project. Basically, for me, it was just kind of deciding that I didn't really want to take that much time for one project because I have the ADD real bad, and I can't maintain my focus that long. But if you're looking to do something more like that, one thing you might want to consider, Colored Pencil Painting Bible, Alyona Nicholson, I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly, but this woman does almost photorealistic work with color pencils, and she will take you from your basic line drawing all the way to your completed project. So if you're looking for more of the photorealistic color pencil work, that may be a good starting place for you. I would look on Amazon first because it is a little pricey if you go to the actual bookstore. Anyway, back to the actual topic at hand, speaking of ADD. The basic difference between, say, this and this as far as technique, here you're going to be focusing, oh, I'm sorry, I just flipped you off. You're going to be focusing on more of the smaller details at one time. It's basically a difference in how much time you spend on each individual attribute. So, for instance, here I actually started with, in my line drawing, started with the eyes, and then from there I kind of just did a very basic rough outline. You want to use light pencil lines because actually one of the things that will happen, as you can see, hopefully the camera's picking it up here. This was one of the first Prismacolor drawings I ever did, actually. So it's, I was still very, very, very much in the learning stage. Well, I still am, will be forever. But you see we have some pencil lines that are definitely showing through here that are graphite lines, actually, from just the old number 2 pencil. So one of the things to be aware of is that your pencil lines will show through forever and ever and ever if you're using light enough colors. But whenever I actually started doing this one, it was basically kind of a blank canvas, and I started with these raised up areas on his face where where his skin has sunken in after death due to the processes of decay. I love my zom-zoms. And then from there I went on to the eyes. One thing I would not do if I was doing this again, we kind of learned by effing it up, is I would not necessarily put highlights in his eyes because he is a zombie and his eyes are supposed to be kind of dry. He's not really making moisture anymore. So one of the things that kind of bothered me about this, out of many, many things, is that it kind of looked a little bit too lifelike in the eyes for my taste, and I think it's probably the highlights making that happen, implying moisture. Actually, this whole thing was done with different shades of gray, which leads us into a different consideration. If you bought the kit of Prismacolors, you'll notice that there are a lot of grays, a crap load of grays. There's French gray from 10 to 90%, cool gray, warm gray, slate gray, grayed lavender. And actually, there is a purpose to all those grays because, believe it or not, this particular picture, every single color pencil that I picked up, I made a rule for myself. It has to have the word gray in it somewhere so that I can actually get a more dead feel to it. So his face, all French grays. You'll see French gray comes out very brown a lot of times. But there's just enough gray in it to make him look not quite normal. Down here, this shirt, cool gray. This shirt, undershirt, warm gray. This purple, grayed lavender. Just a quick note, use enough color pencil. Oh my God, I didn't use enough, and as you can see, we have white between our lines because I didn't use enough color pencil at that time. That was whenever I was still very scared to lay pencil down. So you do want to kind of build up good thick layers. You do kind of want to see how much you can get down there before you lose your tooth of your paper. And as you can see, the crackled glass, I pretty much said, the heck with this, I'm just not doing it. So, yeah. But anyway, that's it